Thank you for tuning in to LeadDeveloper.com, where we simplify complex property development feasibilities, investment analysis, and everything real estate. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, our Google Sheets-based feasibility suite streamlines the toughest aspects of real estate. Lead Developer Feasibility Suite is trusted by thousands in over 17 countries. Our tools cover everything from quick assessments to detailed cash flow projections and more. Sign up today at LeadDeveloper.com for unlimited free access to our expanding library of real estate tools. No credit card needed. Plus, get full support through Edge with step-by-step guidance, exclusive courses, and resources designed for your success. Turn numbers into narratives that win over investors and lenders. Join Lead Developer now.
Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're taking a look at real estate development marketing.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that you think, oh, I know what that is. It's just selling apartments and houses. But there's so much more to it.
Yeah, it's a whole process.
And we've got a great blog post here called 8 Easy Steps to Market Your New Development Project. And we'll link that in the show notes. But it's fascinating because it really breaks down this kind of whole life cycle of a development from the very beginning, not just when it's, ready to be lived in.
Right, from the inception of the idea.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize how much marketing is involved even before, there's a building to even look at.
Yeah, I mean, the developer is essentially a salesperson from day one.
Right.
They've got to get the permits.
Oh, yeah.
They've got to get the financing.
The funding.
Convince the banks. Get the community on board.
Oh, community, yes.
So, yeah, it's a lot of selling before you even see, a shovel in the ground.
Right, and you're selling, like, an idea. You're selling a concept.
Blueprints, yeah.
Yeah, and so, one of the first things that our source talks about is understanding your target audience, right? Who are you actually selling to?
Yeah, and that's where, thankfully, our source gives us a great tool. They talk about this housing market pyramid.
A pyramid.
Yeah, and it's broken down into like 3 levels, right? You've got your low-cost housing, your mid-price housing, and then your luxury market.
So, visualize this pyramid, and at the bottom is, affordable housing.
Your entry-level buyers.
First-time home buyers, maybe people downsizing.
Exactly.
Maybe young professionals who are, just starting out. And that's a huge chunk of the market, and it can be really, really competitive.
Yeah.
Then as you move up the pyramid, you get into that mid-price range.
Right. Maybe people looking for a little bit more space, better amenities,
Yeah, maybe they've got a growing family or they want a yard or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Stepping up in the world.
And then at the very top, that peak of the pyramid is that luxury market. Penthouses.
Penthouse suite.
And those buyers, they're often looking at real estate as an investment as well as a place to live.
Right. They might have multiple properties.
Right.
There might be international buyers.
And their purchasing power has a huge impact on the entire pyramid. It's like a whole ecosystem.
Definitely, yeah.
If that top level is doing well, it often trickles down to those other levels. And then you layer on top of that the fact that real estate is cyclical, right? You have short-term demands and long-term trends.
Yeah. The market's always in flux.
It's a lot for developers to think about. It's not like, oh, I've got this great idea for a building. I'm just going to, build it and they will come. It's way more complex than that.
No, they can't just rely on what worked 5 years ago. They need to look at the data. They need to understand those trends.
So that's what the market analysis part comes in, right? They need to look at recent pricing trends. Where's the demand coming from? Are investors playing a role? And our source specifically mentions the impact of things like interest rates and economic fluctuations. You think about all the things in the news lately that have been affecting real estate, and it's wild.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Those external factors can completely change the game.
So it's not just about the building itself. It's about understanding that whole context in which you're building and selling.
Right.
And then there's this other really cool concept that our source talks about, and that's the 80-20 principle.
Ah, the Pareto principle.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
It's this idea that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts.
Right. So it's about identifying those high-impact activities, those key levers that really move the needle.
And applying that to real estate, maybe 20% of your marketing channels are bringing in 80% of your leads.
Or maybe 80% of your potential buyers live within a 20-kilometer radius of the development.
So it really makes you think strategically about where to focus your energy and resources.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things exceptionally well.
And that can apply to so many different aspects of the development, right? Not just the marketing, but also the design of the building, the amenities you offer, the location you choose.
It's about understanding those key drivers of value and prioritizing them.
And I think that's a really important takeaway for our listeners, no matter what field you're in, whether you're in marketing or you're a developer or you're just trying to be more effective in your own life, that 80-20 principle is something to keep in mind.
It's a universal principle,
Now, the blog post we're looking at outlines 7 key stages of development marketing.
a roadmap to success.
Yeah, and I think it'd be helpful to go through each of these stages, to really understand how to take a project from that initial vision to actually getting those sales.
I think that would be valuable. Let's dive in.
Okay, so stage 1 is all about defining that target audience, and we've already touched upon that with that housing market pyramid. But stage 2 is where things get a little bit more nitty-gritty. That's the market analysis stage. It's where you really have to do your homework.
Right. It's not just about gathering data. It's about asking the right questions.
Like what?
Well, for example, what are the other developments in the area? What are their strengths and weaknesses? Are there any unmet needs in the market that you can capitalize on?
So it's about finding that unique selling proposition, that's something special that sets your development apart.
Exactly. You need to give people a reason to choose your project over all the others.
Okay, so you've got your target audience, you've done your market research, and now you need to figure out what you want to achieve with your marketing campaign, right?
Right. That's stage 3, defining your marketing objectives. What are your goals? What are you trying to achieve?
And those goals need to be specific and measurable, right?
Absolutely.
Sure.
You need to be able to track your progress and see if your efforts are paying off.
So are you trying to generate a certain number of leads? Are you trying to hit a specific pre-sales target? Our source mentions that banks often set pre-sales targets for developers.
Right. They want to see a certain percentage of units sold before they'll release funds for construction.
So that becomes a really important marketing objective, right? Because without hitting those pre-sales targets, the whole project could stall.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you've got your goals, and now you need to figure out how you're going to achieve them. That's stage 4, developing your marketing strategy.
This is where you get to be creative, right? You think about your target audience, you think about your objectives, and you come up with a plan to connect those two.
And our blog post emphasizes that it's not just about advertising, it's about creating a whole package, a whole experience.
Right. You're not just selling a property, you're selling a lifestyle, a community.
So you might think about offering attractive financing options, flexible payment plans, maybe unique amenities that cater to your target audience.
It's about going above and beyond, giving people something they can't find anywhere else.
And all of this needs to be carefully budgeted, right? Which brings us to stage 5.
The dreaded budget, but it's essential.
Yeah, you need to figure out how much you can afford to spend on marketing and how to allocate those funds wisely.
And that budget might include everything from advertising costs to public relations to the cost of setting up a marketing office. Sometimes you might even need to factor in the expense of creating a physical model of the development.
Yeah, and don't forget about all those tangible marketing materials like brochures, signage, those beautiful renderings that everyone loves.
All those things add up.
Right, and it can be easy to get carried away, especially when you're excited about a project.
Definitely, but a well-defined budget keeps you grounded and helps you make smart decisions.
So now you've got your budget, you've got your strategy, and you need to assemble your team. Stage 6 is all about building that marketing dream team. Do you go in-house or do you bring in specialist agencies?
That's a big question, and there's no right or wrong answer. It depends on the project, the budget, the developer's experience.
Right. Do you have the expertise in-house or do you need to tap into specialized knowledge?
And sometimes it's a combination of both.
Yeah, a hybrid approach where you have some in-house people and then you bring in experts for specific areas.
Exactly.
Okay, we're on to stage 7, and this is where the rubber meets the road. It's time to execute those carefully crafted marketing efforts.
This is where it all comes together.
Our source lists a whole bunch of different channels you can use. Newspapers, magazines, billboards, exhibitions, even television and radio. But it's not about using every channel. It's about finding the right mix to reach your target audience.
You're right. You need to be strategic and think about where your audience is spending their time and attention.
And of course, we can't forget about the digital revolution. The internet has completely changed the game when it comes to real estate marketing. Our source specifically mentions using the internet for virtual walkthroughs and 3D models, which are especially important when selling off-plan.
Yeah, those tools allow potential buyers to experience a property before it's even built.
It's incredible, right? You can put on those VR goggles and actually walk through the space, get a feel for the layout, the finishes.
It's like stepping into the future.
And that's so important when you're asking people to invest in something that they can't physically see or touch yet.
It helps bridge that gap between imagination and reality.
Okay, so you've got your campaigns running across all these different channels, but you can't just set it and forget it, right? You need to track your results, see what's working, make adjustments along the way. That's where stage 8 comes in, monitoring and evaluation.
Right. You need to constantly assess and refine your approach.
Our source mentions a few different ways to do this.
Yep.
You can analyze your sales data, you can gather feedback from potential buyers, you can look at your advertising response rates.
It's about gathering data and using it to inform your decisions.
It's a dynamic process, not a static one. And I think that's a really important takeaway for our listeners. You can't just assume that what worked in the past will work in the future.
The market's always changing, and you need to be adaptable.
Okay, we've covered those 8 stages of development marketing, but there's one more aspect I want to touch on before we move on, and that's this whole concept of selling off plan.
Ah, yes, the pre-sale game. This is where things get really interesting.
So for our listeners who might not be familiar with this term, selling off plan essentially means selling units before the development is finished.
Right. It's a way for developers to secure funding early on, gauge market interest, and sometimes even lock in prices.
But it's also a bit risky, right? Because buyers are essentially putting their faith in a vision. They're committing to something that they can't physically see or touch yet.
It definitely requires a leap of faith.
So what makes people take that leap? Why would someone buy something that doesn't even exist yet?
Well, developers often offer incentives to encourage early buyers, like pre-launch events, discounted rates, and the chance to view show units or detailed models.
So you're giving them a taste of what's to come, helping them visualize the finished product.
Exactly. But it also requires a lot of trust and transparency from the developer. They need to be upfront about timelines, potential challenges, and demonstrate a genuine commitment to delivering what they've promised.
It's a delicate dance between managing expectations and building confidence in the project.
Right. And that's why those virtual tours and 3D models are so important. They help bridge that gap between the vision and the reality.
So it seems like selling off plans successfully requires a unique blend of marketing savvy, financial acumen, and relationship building skills. You need to create a compelling narrative that captures the imagination while also providing tangible evidence to support that vision and instill confidence in buyers.
It's a multifaceted challenge, but when done well, it can be incredibly rewarding for both the developer and the buyer.
Absolutely.
You know, it's interesting because when you're selling off plan, you're essentially selling a promise, a vision of what this space could be.
It's like selling a dream, right? A
Yeah.
future that doesn't exist yet.
Exactly. So you need to make that dream as tangible and real as possible for potential buyers. And one way to do that is through those pre-launch events we talked about.
Oh, yeah. Those are great for building excitement and giving people a taste of what's to come.
Exactly. You can have like a cocktail party at the site, even if it's just a vacant lot right now.
Or maybe a presentation at a nearby hotel ballroom with some fancy renderings and a scale model of the development.
Right. And it's a chance for the developer to meet potential buyers face to face, share their vision, answer questions directly. It's all about building that trust and making people feel like they're part of something special.
And it's not just about showcasing the physical space, right? It's about selling a lifestyle, a community.
Absolutely. You need to create a narrative around the development that resonates with people's aspirations.
So maybe you highlight the walkability of the neighborhood, the proximity to parks and green spaces, the vibrant local culture.
Exactly. And you can use those pre-launch events to bring that narrative to life. Maybe you partner with a local restaurant to cater the event, or you showcase the work of local artists. It's about creating an experience that embodies the essence of the development.
And it's also a great opportunity to gather feedback from potential buyers, right? See what resonates with them, what their concerns are, what they're looking for in a community.
Absolutely. That feedback is invaluable. It can help you refine your marketing message and ensure that you're meeting the needs of your target audience. And speaking of meeting needs, let's talk about another important aspect of development marketing, the budgeting process.
Oh, yeah. Budgeting, the not so glamorous, but absolutely essential part of any project.
That's where the rubber meets the road, right?
Yeah.
You can have all these grand ideas, but if you don't have the budget to support them, there's just dreams.
And real estate development is a capital-intensive business.
Big time. So you need to be really smart about how you allocate your marketing dollars. Our source breaks down the budgeting process into a few key categories. You've got your advertising costs, which can include everything from print ads and billboards to online campaigns and social media marketing.
And don't forget about those beautiful brochures and sales materials. Those can get pretty expensive.
Right. High-quality photography, professional copywriting, printing costs, it all adds up. Then you've got public relations, which might involve hiring a PR firm to help generate buzz around the development, get media coverage, and manage your online reputation.
And events like those pre-launch parties we were talking about, those can be a big expense too.
Definitely. Venue rental, catering, entertainment, staffing, you need to factor all that in. Then you've got the cost of setting up and running a sales office, staffing it with salespeople, equipping it with computers and phones and all that good stuff.
And if you're selling off plan, you might also need to factor in the cost of building a scale model or creating those virtual tours.
Right, those are important tools for helping buyers visualize the finished product.
Mm.
And then there are all those miscellaneous expenses that always seem to pop up: signage, permits, legal fees, and so on.
So it's a lot to juggle, and it really emphasizes the importance of having a clear budget from the outset.
Absolutely. You need to know how much you can afford to spend and how you're going to allocate those funds in order to achieve your marketing objectives.
And it's not just about setting the budget, it's about tracking your spending throughout the campaign and making adjustments as needed.
Right, you need to be flexible and adaptable. If one marketing channel isn't performing as well as you'd hoped, you might need to shift those funds to another channel that's showing more promise.
So it's an ongoing process, not just a one-time exercise.
Exactly. Now, once you have a solid budget in place, it's time to start building the team that's going to execute your marketing plan.
Yeah, those are the people who are going to bring the vision to life, right?
Absolutely. And as we discussed earlier, there are a few different approaches to building your marketing team.
You can go in-house, hiring your own marketing staff, or you can outsource to a specialized agency.
Or you can take a hybrid approach, combining the strengths of both.
And the best approach really depends on the specific project, right? The size of the development, the budget, the developer's experience.
Exactly. You need to consider your needs, your resources, and your overall goals.
So if you're a large developer with multiple projects underway, you might have an in-house marketing team that handles everything from branding to advertising to public relations.
But if you're a smaller developer with a more limited budget, you might choose to outsource some or all of your marketing functions to an agency that specializes in real estate.
And there are agencies out there that cater specifically to the needs of developers. They understand the nuances of the market, they have relationships with the media, and they know how to reach potential buyers.
Right, they can be a valuable asset, especially for developers who are new to the game or who don't have the time or resources to build their own in-house team.
But regardless of whether you go in-house or outsource, it's important to choose a team that you trust and that understands your vision.
Absolutely. You need to be able to communicate effectively with your team, share your goals, and provide clear direction.
And you need a team that's passionate about the project, right? People who are excited to share your vision with the world.
Definitely. That enthusiasm is contagious, and it can make all the difference in the success of your marketing campaign.
Okay, so you've got your budget, you've assembled your dream team, and now it's time to get those marketing efforts rolling. Stage 7 of our roadmap is all about execution.
This is where all that planning and preparation comes to fruition.
And as we touched on earlier, there are so many different channels you can use to reach potential buyers.
It's about creating a multifaceted campaign that utilizes a mix of traditional and digital media.
So let's start with those traditional channels. Newspapers and magazines are still a viable option, especially if you're targeting a more affluent demographic.
Right. A well-placed ad in a high-quality publication can lend credibility and reach a targeted audience.
Billboards can be effective for generating awareness, especially if you're located in a high-traffic area.
And don't forget about direct mail. It can be a great way to reach potential buyers in specific neighborhoods or zip codes.
And then there are events and exhibitions where you can showcase your development to a captive audience of potential buyers.
Those can be really effective for generating leads and building relationships. You can have a booth at a home show, or you can host your own event at the development site.
And of course, we can't forget about the power of word-of-mouth marketing.
Ah, yes, the most valuable form of marketing.
Encourage your existing clients to spread the word, offer referral bonuses, create a buzz online.
And that brings us to the digital realm.
Oh yeah, the internet has completely revolutionized the way we buy and sell real estate.
It's the first place people go when they're looking for information about properties.
So you need to have a strong online presence. That means a well-designed website, active social media accounts, and engaging content that showcases your development.
And those virtual tours and 3D models we talked about earlier are essential for selling off plan.
Absolutely. They allow potential buyers to experience the space before it's even built. And you can also use online advertising to target potential buyers based on their demographics, interests, and location.
Right. Platforms like Google Ads and Facebook Ads allow you to be very specific with your targeting, so you're not wasting your marketing dollars on people who aren't interested in your development.
So it's about creating a symphony of digital touchpoints, a seamless online experience that guides potential buyers through their journey from awareness to consideration to purchase.
And it's important to track your results, analyze your data, and make adjustments along the way.
Right. You need to see what's working, what's not working, and optimize your campaigns for maximum impact. That brings us to stage 8 of our roadmap, monitoring and evaluation.
This is the stage that often gets overlooked, but it's crucial for ensuring the success of your marketing efforts. You can't just set it and forget it.
Right. You need to be constantly monitoring your progress, analyzing your data, and making adjustments as needed.
Our source mentions a few key metrics you should be tracking. Website traffic is a good indicator of how many people are finding your development online.
Right. You want to see those numbers going up over time.
Social media engagement is another important metric.
Are people liking, commenting, and sharing your posts?
Lead generation is crucial. How many people are filling out forms on your website, requesting more information, or signing up for your email list?
Those are your potential buyers.
Advertising response rates tell you how effective your online ads are at driving traffic to your website.
And of course, the most important metric of all is sales conversions.
How many leads are actually turning into buyers? You need to track all these metrics and analyze the data to see what's working and what's not. That information will then help you refine your marketing strategy, adjust your budget, and optimize your campaigns for maximum impact. It's fascinating, isn't it? How you need to blend those hard numbers with the emotional aspect of buying a home.
It's a delicate balance. You've got to appeal to both the head and the heart.
Exactly. And speaking of appealing to emotions, one thing that really stood out to me in our source was the emphasis on authenticity.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one these days. People can spot a fake a mile away.
Exactly. So how do you bring authenticity to real estate development marketing?
I think it starts with being genuine, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't try to be something you're not. Don't overpromise and underdeliver.
Be transparent about the challenges, the timelines, the potential risks.
Exactly. And showcase the people behind the project. Let potential buyers see the passion, the commitment, the expertise that's going into creating this development.
I love that idea of showcasing the people. It makes it so much more relatable.
And it builds trust.
Right.
Hmm.
Instead of just seeing a faceless corporation, you see real people who are invested in this project.
And it's not just about the people behind the project. It's also about being authentic to the location, the community.
Oh, that's a good point. You can't just plop down any generic development anywhere and expect it to succeed.
No, you need to understand the character of the neighborhood, the history, the culture, and you need to reflect that in your marketing.
So if you're building in a historic district, you might emphasize the architectural heritage of the area. Or if you're building in a up-and-coming neighborhood, you might highlight the energy, the creativity, the sense of possibility.
Exactly. It's about telling a story that resonates with people, a story that's authentic to the place.
It's amazing how all these pieces fit together, isn't it? From understanding your target audience and analyzing the market, to crafting a compelling narrative and building a strong team.
It's like a puzzle, and each piece is essential for creating a successful development.
And it all comes back to that core idea of creating something of value, something that enhances people's lives.
That's what it's all about, really. Creating spaces where people can thrive, connect, and build a sense of community.
And that's what makes real estate development marketing so rewarding, right? It's not just about selling bricks and mortar. It's about creating something meaningful that contributes to a better world.
Absolutely. Well said.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive into the world of real estate development marketing. We've covered a lot of ground, from the initial planning stages to the final execution of a marketing campaign. We've talked about market analysis, target audiences, budgeting, branding, and the importance of authenticity. And we've explored the unique challenges of selling off plan and building trust with buyers.
I hope our listeners have found it insightful and inspiring.
I'm sure they have. And if you're interested in learning more about this fascinating field, I encourage you to check out the blog post we discussed today. We'll link to it in the show notes. And in the meantime, keep exploring, Keep asking questions and keep dreaming big.
Until next time.
Thanks for joining us.